You know those days when it's cold and rainy outside and you just don't want to get out of bed at all? I built a tray so I can have hot chocolates and croissants in bed. You want one too? So, lass uns anfangen. I really wanted to build a tray out of scrap wood pieces. So I looked through my pile and picked a few different colors. I got some bloodwood, walnut, maple, and some cherry. First step is to cut all the pieces to size to create a pattern of the tray. I'm using my table saw for this step. Once I have most of the pieces cut, I lay them out to create a pattern and find more pieces to fill in the rest. I decided the tray to be 24 by 12 inches, or about 60 by 30 centimeters. The pieces that are too long, I'm cutting with the miter saw. I'm not 100% happy with the pattern just yet. I found this piece of lumber that I glued up a while back for a project that I ended up never building. So I got this piece left over. It's 2 pieces of walnut with a 1/4-inch piece of maple sandwiched in between. I'm cutting the piece in slices to add it to the tray, like a centerpiece pattern. Yes, now we're talking. I start to like the layout. Each piece looks very unique with a different flow of the grain. And this is the final pattern. On the sides of the tray I decided to add additional pieces of wood to attach the handles to at a later point. I always get a lot of comments about my workshop being way too clean. Well, I like to keep my workshop clean, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It just keeps my ideas flowing. Next step is the glue up. I'm using my large clamps and a lot of wood glue. Add the glue, spread the glue, put the pieces together and tighten the clamps. I ended up doing multiple glue ups since it was much easier. Therefore, I waited a few hours in between each glue up for the glue to set, and then I added more pieces and repeated the steps. Once all pieces are glued together, I let it dry overnight. It's the next morning now, and the piece has fully cured. And now it's time to clean up the mess, aka all the extra glue that got squeezed out of the gaps. Also, not all the wood pieces line up, and we need to straighten the surface. To clean up the tray, I'm using my planer and a jig that will keep the board straight when it goes through the planer, since it's very wobbly on both sides. To use the jig, I need one of the ends of the tray to be flush. Therefore, I'm using my miter saw. Since the tray has end grain in the center, I'm using my hand drieder to cut a bevel on the edge. This simple trick will keep the ends from fraying out when it goes through the planer. Usually when I use the jig, I use hot glue and wood chisels to level the board. But in this case, the board stayed on straight just by applying some pressure towards the end of the board while it was pulled into the planer. Once one side is cleaned up, just flip the board over, add up another bevel with the hand planer, and then put the board without the jig through the planer. And I would say that's pretty perfect. Use the miter saw to make sure you have 90-degree angles and clean up the sides. And now it's time for the moment that we've all been waiting for. I get to use my new fast tool. Let's have some fun sanding. And this should do it. We're down to 220 grit. The next step is to glue on those side pieces to attach the handles to. I'm using some wood glue and then the screw from the handles. Make sure you pre-drill the holes. And go slow, screwing in the screws. You don't want the wood to be split or the screw heads to be stripped. I ordered those handles off Amazon. The link is in the description below. Now all that's missing is the finish. For that, I decided to go with spray-on poly. But really, I'm just out of Rubio monocoat and it's really expensive to buy it, so I'm going for the poly. Spray on a thin coat and within 2 hours come back and add another. Let it fully dry and we are fertig. I am ready for cold and rainy days in bed. I can wait to try out my new tray. How did you like my project? Is there anything you'd like me to build next? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for all the love and support. Any likes, comments, super thanks and views are greatly appreciated since it keeps my channel going. Which means I can build more projects. See you next time. Tschüss!